1 game over.
You got to know Boris is breathing a sigh of relief there. Doesn't want to be faced with the same uphill climb. I don't think he could break Pete Sampras' serve if he got down 2 breaks in a set.
As he did against Agassi.
First set.
Agassi winning the first set 6-2 on 2 breaks and was up 2 breaks at 4-1 in the second when suddenly Agassi's world went spinning at the racket of Becker.
Sampras is one of the best overheads around. A lot of spring in those legs.
15 love.
I love when he does the scissor kick overhead, not necessary here. We should be mentioning that Agassi match, even after he was up 6-2-4, and he had 7 other break chances after that he couldn't capitalize on. So he had other chances in that match.
30 love.
It's going to take a while for Becker to get adjusted to the pace on Sampras' serve. As we mentioned, he played 2 baseliners the last 2 rounds, and previous to that, he was playing left-handers.
That's a very good point, John McEnroe. He hasn't met a server anything like Sampras in the 2 weeks.
First set.
They have played 11 times previous, Sampras winning 6. They're 2-2 last year. They haven't played this season. So Becker hasn't had a look at the Sampras serve since indoors '94.
Interestingly enough, they played in the ATP finals last November, and in the round robin, Becker beat Sampras. They played twice in the same tournament. Becker beat Sampras 5-5. Sampras came back in the finals to beat him in 4 sets.
Eight straight service points for Sampras, 2 aces. This international audience, including some big stars, Nicole Kidman, Tom Cruise, just about Tom Gullickson, twin brother of Tim, the coach of Pete Sampras, who will be top gun after this Wimbledon encounter. Forrest Becker serves 1-2.
Low 15.
He looked a little sluggish on that volley. Once again, seems to be starting a little bit slowly. We look at his year so far, 32-10, which is not extraordinary for one of the top players. It's only loss on grass to Forget in the semis at Queen's Club, which is a warm-up event. It also be mentioned that Monte Carlo had match point on Mooster, who's on a run on clay, and that was on clay. 6-4 in the 4-set tiebreaker. Went for a second serve ace and double faulted and went on to lose the match. Forrest saying, I only know one way to play. Take a lot of chances, and said you're going to see more of that today.
You mentioned Queen's Club. That championship was won by Sampras. And then he teamed with Todd Martin and captured the doubles title. So he got a lot of grass work in. That's the prelude to Wimbledon here in the city of London.
That ball skidding on Pete there. He played the semis of Queens, the finals of Queens, and the doubles finals all the same day. So no doubt that Pete Sampras is fit. Works extremely hard, both on and off the court.
First set.
It's really a dream pupil to have, a guy willing to work that hard, that listens to good advice, that's got himself to a better place. He's a better player, believe it or not, than he was a couple years ago. It's really come a long, long way.
And there's something else to like about him. Unlike many young players in many different sports, so many young players have no sense of the history of their game. Well, Sampras is not guilty of that. He links back. He's looked at films and studied the great players of the past and cares about them and his place with them in tennis history.
And that can only help tennis as a sport in general. Respect your elders, people that got you this place. If it weren't for those guys like Laver, they wouldn't be making the type of money they are today, that's for sure.
14-30.
Double fault number 2. Becker has averaged about 6 double faults in the championship. little more trouble on Becker's serve in this opening set.
Game back up.
Chair umpire Kim Craven calls out game Becker 2-all. Craven from Farnham Common in Bucks, England. Now Sampras, who has won 8 straight points on his serve opening the match. 2 aces.
$15.
Pete's 1995 season looks this way.
Well, not quite as spectacular as last year, but still very good nonetheless. See, undefeated on grass, including that Queen's Club win. He was a finalist at the Australian.
Lost to Agassi.
His real bad result being that one first-round loss to Schaller at the French. Things starting to fall in place now for Pete. He says, hey, I was ranked #1 at the end of '94, and I still should be considered #1.
15 all.
That's the first Becker point off Sampras' serve on the double fault.
And if Pete does win here and wins the Open, he will be #1 again, so a lot to be gunning for. Becker, on the other hand, if he does beat Pete today, will move to #2 in the rankings.
Ahead of Sampras.
Which would have been unheard of, people would have thought a year or so ago. Thomas Muster is going to drop because he didn't play here, down from 3 to 4.
Pretty tough second serve. Both men have that.
13-15.
And both men are going to try that serve out wide to the forehand, dare their opponents. Both players like to pull that cross court. Pete a little more adept at going down the line, a little more variety on that forehand than Boris does. Look how well he handled that. See how calm he was under pressure there. Becker blistered that return. Once again, he tried to pull across court.
There's that half volley acumen you talked about.
2 of the best right here.
14-30.
Becker seems to be getting the rhythm just a little bit now on the Sampras serve. A couple nice returns this game.
Good return off a 118-mile-an-hour serve.
Game Sampras.
3-2 on serve opening set. Welcome back. Andre Agassi, after losing to Becker on Friday, offered his analysis of today's final.
It's tough to say. I mean, needless to say, anything can happen out there. That's why that they're not giving the trophy away yet. They're going to play the match, but I feel like Pete does everything like Boris except a little bit better.
Well, that's pretty much what the thinking in the locker room
15 love.
is. Most players feel that way. So-called experts as well, that both players are tremendous, but Pete does everything just a little bit better and a little bit more youthfully. But if they take into account Becker's mental toughness, and it gets close, then I think most people think Becker has a real shot at it.
Big return.
15 all.
That's a risky proposition to go to the Sampras forehand on the second serve. That ball came back awful fast. And that's probably, to me, his biggest improvement. Taking those balls that are above the net and really going after them with some authority.
Pete thought that ball was either long or going to be long.
40-15.
You're exactly right there, Dick. Should have probably taken that in the air if he could. Well, so far, serving at 53%. All right, is that coming into this event, this match? 90% of his first serve points won. Well, that's just for today. Well, we'll say it's very early. Like to see that in like the third or fourth set.
Point from 3-all.
Game Becker. Three games all, first set.
Becker wins today. He'll be the oldest champion in 13 years. 82. Jimmy Connors beat a man named McEnroe.
How old was Jimmy then?
Almost 30.
Nice touch by Sampras.
How old were you?
Back in 82, I guess that makes me about 22 years old. 20, well, it's hard to remember. 23, that's right. Don't ask such tough questions, Dick.
Never tough if you don't fudge on your age as you get older.
Yeah, I'm
Now there's the first clean winner off the Sampras serve.
That's a good play by Becker. I think you'll see Sampras was leaning the other way, expecting that cross-court forehand once again. But I would call that a slight inside-out forehand there. That's Becker's other forehand. Does rarely goes up the line with while he's on the run. Big serve there.
30-15.
127 miles an hour. That's getting up there with the best of the championships. 134 was tops. Greg Rosetsky, a left-hander from Canada who now makes his tennis home in England.
Basically, you'd have to say Sampras has got the best serve in the game in the sense that all around. Best serve, backs it up with the volley. Toughest guy in the world to break.
Through the semifinals, there's Rosetsky with Forget, the left-hander from France. Ivanisevic, three southpaws, and then Sampras' best, 129, Becker at 126. So these are two of the biggest hitters in the game today.
But guess what? They're in the finals.
Those are serves timed only at center court during this fortnight. So 30-all.
Becker's going to wait here to the last instant. Once again, decides to go up the line. Doesn't surprise Pete. Saw the open court, knew he just had to hit this volley in. Becker mixing things up nicely, though, so far.
Oh,
How strong is Becker there?
wow, in the corner.
That was a thundering serve. Becker just met that ball. Got it right on the line.
Well, the first time Becker's faithful can cheer a deuce point against the Sampras serve.
He actually had time there to turn over his wrist, which I didn't think he did. Not this time.
Advantage Sampras.
That was the match of his fastest of the championship, 129.
Pete said Friday he saved his best serving match for Ivanisevic. He can pick it up one notch here. He's going to be unbreakable.
Oh, my. Hits the ball boy at the net judge, and he shakes his head, says, I'm okay. No breaks yet.